Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on my channel, where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. The reason it's a multi-dimensional approach is because it's integrated, and narcissistic abuse is a multi-dimensional issue. It attacks you spiritually, emotionally, physically, and energetically. But what I wanted to talk today about, because I've just done the integrity, I'm on module 5 in the current sovereign group, and I'm talking about integrity, and it just was making me think about regaining self-respect after narcissistic abuse. In these cycles, people have disrespected, dishonored, betrayed, manipulated, done all sorts of horrible things to us, right? And when we come back into ourselves, right, and act in integrity, live in integrity, you come to this knowing in your body where it's irrelevant now in my life what anyone does or says about me, right? Because I'm in integrity of myself every single day. I don't betray myself, I don't abandon myself, and I live according to my values, right? Which means that I, behind the scenes, stand for everything I stand for. I don't do anything that, I feel like the greatest show of most people's integrity, it will be who they are when no one's looking. When they're not doing it to get praise, when they're not doing it for validation, it's who they be really in their life. That's your sign of integrity. If you nail that and live according to your values, no matter what, you will gain such self-respect for yourself that there's nothing anyone could do or say that would take you out of respecting yourself. In fact, you don't even need to prove it or say it or validate yourself. You won't even bother, because every day you respect yourself. Now, living in integrity means knowing my values and standing by them all the time. And so many of us have this concept of life where we feel like disempowered because of situations that seem hard. There are things in our life that we will never be able to control that happen around us. We don't have to, stay with narcissists for the rest of our life, but there's certainly a lot that happens in our universe, right? And the thing that defines us isn't like what happens to us, it's who we are throughout it, right? Life will get tough sometimes, especially if you choose a bigger life purpose. It depends on how far you want to play. But the more of life we go for, the more obstacles potentially can come up as well. And so it is easy to be a great, happy, loving person when everything feels great in our life. But who we are when things are hard, that's when you can be most proud of yourself. I'm proud of, there were times when I did lose it a bit, and I make, that kind of stuff. I felt like I could have behaved better in situations, but for the majority of it, even in my hardest time, in my hardest times, I still lived with my values intact. I still was a kind person. I was an honest person. I lived by what I teach, I be about it. Right? Even when it was really hard, I had every excuse to be toxic, to dump my stuff on other people, to go in a negative trajectory. And I know better than that. If you go down those rabbit holes, it's not a judgment on you. It's just saying that I think I grew the greatest self-respect in the hardest times because I really saw the person I was. Because when you're tested like that and you don't crack, the self-respect you have is even bigger. It's easy when everything feels easy to be, honourable and honest and kind and loving. But when the shit hits the fan, can you stick by your values and integrity then? Can you stand up for yourself? Can you live those values no matter what? I know that I did. And that's also, I think, why my life changed so quickly, because I didn't go in any old cycles. I didn't retaliate. I held on to myself differently. And you find out who you are. Like I say, sometimes, you're the bravest one when you've got the least and you go for it. I just realized I'm brave. When it didn't matter what anyone did to me, I wouldn't abandon my values. You see, that's living in integrity. I didn't sell myself out, even when I had every reason to. My life was extremely hard. I could have done things that were out of integrity. It would have been justified. It doesn't make me wrong. It just I get to decide every day who I want to be. And you're going to find out most about who you want to be and who you really are when things are hard. right? And we don't live in a world where nothing will ever be hard for you. We live in a world where leadership is about how you navigate life, yeah? And healers, empaths, sensitives, people, light workers, especially, you're going to get to learn how to navigate shadows, and so that you can lead other people through the dark, right? Everyone's great in the light. But when things get hard, you know, how we navigate that, right, is like such huge defining points of our life. Not what we get, not the instant rewards, because most of what you do in integrity will be unseen by anyone but the divine. God knows, you know, but other than that, but you don't even do it to get, you just do it because it's who you are. That's a huge thing I teach people. Like, and it's actually what unconditional love in ourselves starts from. It's like, I start loving myself because of who I be, not what I do and not what I get. Yeah, that's unconditional love. I love myself because of who I am, because I exist, because I can see myself through the eyes of God, not because I've done something. I don't just love myself when I haven't eaten the pizza or when I've done the thing that makes me feel good. You know, loving yourself is when it's not easy to love yourself. That's the test. Yeah? When you get everything right, or you think you have, that's easy to love yourself then. But your test is going to be, can I establish a relationship with myself that stands through anything? Because then it's real. It's not real only if I love myself, if I don't put on weight, only if I love myself, if you love me back, only if I love myself. This is why we've got to be so strong in our integrity, our values. This is why we've got to be so self-partnered and so self-focused, right? Because if we betray ourselves all the time, then we're so much more easily influenced by people who are tempting us with quick wins or things that seem tempting in the short term, but overall cost us even more of things that we don't want over time, right? Because we don't know who we are. We're not living in integrity every day, which means that if I am, then it's very easy for me to make choices and decisions. It's very obvious to me. I already know, you know, someone comes and says, well, if you do this, I'll pay you. And I know it's not within my values. And I'll say, no, thank you. It doesn't exist for me. It doesn't matter if I've got bills to pay. I always have. That's not a thing. I don't sell myself out. I've lived by it long enough to know that it doesn't even feel like a temptation to me to go outside of myself. When someone says, oh, you know, maybe I really like someone, or I thought it was a good friendship, but they're gossiping and they're saying horrible things about people, and that's not where I stand. I don't like talking about other people, certainly not negatively, but that person could introduce me to someone or have got something that I could want. I don't play there. Yeah, I clean my act up every time. And it's these small moves we make every day of our life that keep us like in integrity with ourselves, where you can't not love yourself when you act like that, when you are like that, when you be like that. Right? And then people stop, then you'll notice like over time, short amounts of time, better things start coming into your life, because the universe, you've shown the universe that you're not an energetic match in any way to any of that old stuff. Because sometimes when we make changes, some of the old stuff comes up still, like we attract in some of the old cycle just because it was already lined up from our past energy. Right? So it can take a little while for the new energy to be solid in us, just because like we haven't held it for long enough. But when you hold it, then only things that are a match to your new energy and your new values and your new standards and your new abundance can actually come into your life, you know, over time. And the things you can't control never change you, never turn you, never make you out of who you are, right? So like a lot of us sit in like, why is this happening to me? And this shouldn't be happening. You're not God. You're not here in the universe to decide what should and shouldn't be happening. You have no idea until you get to hindsight what it all means. But until you decide that I am who I am, I live by what I live by, my values are intact no matter what, yeah, you'll be so concerned with what people are doing to you, what they're not doing to you, and they'll be able to impact you in a way that impairs your energy field. When you live in integrity and your values, when you learn the things I'm teaching you, and like, especially in my course, but like when you learn to vibrate in peace, right? When you learn that like to take your energy back, when you learn how to have a dominant energy so strong that it can't be put off, then it doesn't really matter what anyone else does. And in fact, all that stuff starts going away. It's only the fact that they can collapse your energy field and invade it that it gets so loud in your life. So your first job is you always, your integrity, your energetic, right? How much you let something impact you starts becoming a choice when you learn these principles. It feels like something that you can't help and is just happening to you. But as you learn the stuff I teach, eventually, like, your goal is, how much do I let it impact me? Because if I keep focusing on the thing that makes me really angry, then I'm just going to vibrate at anger. Rather than I just process my anger and I don't try and reignite it just because it shouldn't be happening. Your idea of what should and shouldn't be happening is like, don't play God. It is happening. So now what? Who do you be? Because who you be today is setting up your future and what you're attracting tomorrow and the next day and 6 months from now. We create the future now from our energetic field. You want to shift your energy as fast as you can. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.